If you'd like to support this podcast, please, wow, we're off to a good start. Here we are once again. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name is Mike Perrine. This is the Everyday Detox podcast. This episode's going to be a quickie. I just sort of was thinking about this last night and realizing where we are. And we are somewhere in the middle of November. I think it's November 12th. I don't really have a life that allows me to understand what day of the week it is sometimes or where we are on the calendar. But I think it's November 12th. And we're getting to that place where people are about to get sloppy. So the Halloween candy that's left over is coming in now to the offices, and people are bringing it in so they don't eat it themselves, and people are starting to pick. And then the holidays are coming, and we're going to go visit the family, and then we're going to be eating indulgent meals, and maybe we haven't seen our friends from high school for a while, so then everyone goes out drinking maybe a couple of nights. And this happens every year. As a health practitioner, I've seen this every holiday season. We get a big rush of people right after Thanksgiving. We get a big rush of people definitely on January 1st. But we also get a big rush of people like right after Christmas, in between January and New Year's. That's a very interesting week because people do things outside of what they would normally do. And people that have not yet really gotten their self-care together, and they've not gotten their wellness practices in order. They've not prioritized them. They really want that in their life. But this is a very turbulent time for them. And they start to think about January 1st. And they go, once I get through the holidays, then I'm going to start everything up. That's when it's all going to happen. And in my experience, it's the ultimate exercise in procrastination. It's a number one predictor when people are waiting to get their shit together for a certain date that they're going to fail because they don't really want to do it. And they're just using it as a major excuse. So right around this time when things are about to get sloppy, I really want to encourage people to pretend today is January 1st, because the only difference between January 1st and today is that by January 1st, you'll be deeper in the shit. Your body will just be more polluted. You'll be more out of shape. You'll be more addicted to the food because you just shoveled in all the refined everything that is prevalent at this holiday time. And I want to give everyone a really powerful piece of advice that has worked for me. So a lot of us, we make commitments, whether you do it today, whether you wait for January 1st, whatever. We make commitments, like we make the end goal the commitment. I want to be in better shape, right? And then what happens? And we hear this story all the time. The alarm goes off in the morning and the person's like, I'm going to get up and I'm going to work out. And then they hit the snooze button. Now, when we dissect this, we understand what the first error was. It's not that they failed on their goal to get in shape. It's that they missed the first goal, or maybe the first 3 goals or commitments that need to happen. So the first commitment that needs to happen is I'm going to bed by 9 p.m. or whatever time that looks like, in order for you not to be reaching for the snooze button. If you're reaching for the snooze button, you didn't rest enough to go put in a workout at 5 a.m. Probably going to injure yourself, probably going to hate it. But when you wake up refreshed, then you feel ready to go. So the first commitment is that. When it comes time to eat healthy, a lot of people, and this is prevalent through our culture year round, but a lot of our culture is it's a lot of people what's the word they a lot of people surrender to whatever's available to them. They don't prepare. And like one of my teachers used to say, failure to prepare is preparing to fail, right? So when you're trying to eat clean in a world that doesn't support that, in a world that's trying to pull you in with, these drug-like processed foods, and convenience foods are everywhere, and you're like, nope, I don't want that, but I'm going to need my own support system. The first commitment is not, I'm going to eat healthy, or I'm going to eat whatever it is. The first commitment is, I'm going to make the time to prepare the food that I need. Or I'm going to make the time to make sure I get to that juice bar. It could look a little bit different for everybody. But that first commitment that's where people tend to fail on their commitments when it comes to self-care, health, wellness, when they don't understand the first commitments and they make the last commitment the number one, because there's no path to get there. I've had to learn this myself, especially getting older with young children. If I'm not getting the rest that I needed, of course my workouts were horrible. Of course there were so many days where I was like, I'm just not into this, right? And I'll just work on the computer. I'll just get this done. And like we create the stories that justify why we're not doing it. And then I started realizing, I'm like, dude, you're waking up tired because yes, maybe the kids kept you up in the middle of the night or whatever. Like, you need to go to bed earlier. I'm going to do a podcast in a few minutes, actually, on some of the most powerful self-care practices that I have. Not all of them, but just some of the really powerful ones. And one of the things that I am going to talk about is, especially now at this point in my life, the value in sleep, because whatever efficiency I think I'm making up for, like by putting in an extra 2 hours of podcast editing or whatever, like, and staying up till midnight, I'm actually sacrificing my effectiveness the next day. Probably wasn't like that when I was in my 20s as much, but I definitely noticed that now. So for me, for my workouts and for my recovery, if I want to be more consistent, it's not like I'm committed to working out every day. Yeah, that's great. No, I'm committed to getting to bed by 9 o'clock, falling asleep by 9:30, so that I'm waking up refreshed, so that when that little pocket of time opens up, I'm not feeling exhausted or tired or achy, or I'm not properly recovering from the workout the day before and injuring myself. Sometimes I'll wake up, without enough sleep. Sometimes I wake up and things just aren't right in my body from what I did the day before. When I get enough sleep and everything can integrate and recover properly, I feel fantastic. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of the work that I do in holistic health and a lot of my colleagues, we're dealing with people's food addictions. We're dealing with people that break a lot of commitments to themselves. We're dealing with people that procrastinate their life away to like special events like January 1st. And we're right up on that season. So what I would tell every client, like on January 1st, if somebody comes to me and they're like, I have to change my life and you're part of it right now. That's why I'm here for this coaching session. That's why I'm here for this colonic, whatever it is. What advice can you give me? My advice would have been, do this on the 12th of November. Get your shit together, make your commitments, get your food prep done, get your rest in, whatever your thing is around your body or your diet or like whatever's going to happen. Pretend that day is the day where your life starts, because the moment we have the realization is the moment that life starts. Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to film another couple of podcasts, and I hope you're all super well, and I will see you on the next one.